Hello my lovely internet friends and welcome back to my channel. I love earrings, and because I love earrings so much and I love looking at inspo pictures of like curated ears and everything, I decided why not tell you about my piercings. Whenever I see a picture of someone with like a beautiful curated ear, I'm just like, who are you? Tell me everything about your piercings. Where do you buy your jewelry from? And I just want to know everything. We're going to go in chronological order of when I got them and just telling the story around them, and yeah. So here's a picture of the current piercing situation. It is 10 piercings altogether, 5 and 5. Even though I love piercings like earrings, I don't think I'm gonna get any more. 1, because I have a lot already. 2, the ears are evened out. There's 5 on one ear, 5 on the other ear. It sounds complete, you know? I have no need or want for another piercing anyway. It's kind of just an addiction. If you know, you know. So I first started out with getting my lobes. If you look closely in the pictures here, they're actually uneven. My left one is like, you know, in a normal spot, but then my right one is really close to like my cartilage area, so it's higher up on the lobe. I got my first done when I was a baby, so I don't really know much about the story of getting my first done. All I know is that I was a baby. Those typical studs that you get that either are silver or gold on the outside, and then they have a gem in the middle. They have like the birthstone colors. So I'm born in December, and when I was younger, I remember having, and I think I might still have them or I like repurchased them, but I had these studs that were gold and they had the turquoise gem in the middle because that's my birthstone color. When you first look at it, it doesn't really look like a bluish kind of turquoise. These earrings look green. So I always thought, yes, my color is green, but it's not. But yeah, those were my first earrings. Because I was a baby, I assume they are uneven because I might have like jumped or something. Maybe like they did the first one on the left and then they did the second one instead of doing them at the same time. I know for some places when children get their ears pierced, you often have to pay more for a double operator. This was a long time ago anyway, so I don't know how they did it back in the day. They obviously used the gun system. I have thought about getting it redone, but I really can't be bothered because even though it's a lobe piercing and it won't really hurt, there's still the whole healing process, and I've had these holes in my ears for so long that now they don't really close up. Or they don't close up quickly necessarily. Those are my firsts. Now, growing up, I was never really interested in earrings or piercings, and I don't think, it wasn't a really popular thing when I was growing up, particularly in primary school. I do remember though when I got to high school, it did start kind of peaking in popularity to get multiple piercings. I personally remember seeing this picture in a magazine. I think it was like we were doing a collage or something and we needed to bring magazines into school. I remember seeing this photo of a girl. It was like stylized because, you know, magazines, right? And she had so many piercings on her ear and it freaked me the heck out. There were so many, and a lot of them were in the places like where your cartilage is, right? So like the ones that are inside your ear, like your rook and all that kind of stuff. They were in like the hard cartilage places. And me being a young teenager was like, heck no, that's disgusting. I would never do that. And then, well, clearly, that didn't happen. When I was in year 8, my older sister and her best friend at the time, they went to go shopping or whatever, and they decided that together they would get their seconds done. And she didn't tell my mum. When my sister got home and showed my mum was like, what? I mean, she didn't mind that she got her seconds done, but she was not happy that she wasn't informed at least. My mum wasn't someone to be like, how dare you do that? But she was just shocked that my sister did not tell her that she was getting it done. My mum has 1 second piercing. So she's got her first on her lobes, and then I think it's on her right ear. I'm not entirely sure, I can't remember. she has her second done. So she's only got 3 earrings. I think it was like in December or something because it was close to Christmas time. But my mom and I went shopping together and she was like, you know what? Do you want to get your second done? I was just like, what? Like, I never mentioned anything about it. It was like the weirdest situation. My mom was like, your sister didn't even tell me, but do you want to get yours done? Let's go together. You can get yours done. And I was just like, you know what? Okay, sure, this is cool. My mom was letting me get like a second piercing, and like, I remember at the time my friends at school were also interested in getting multiple piercings and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, but like getting your seconds done was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. We went to get my seconds done, but because I wasn't like fully like, I really want to do this as something I've wanted for ages, I was a bit hesitant. And I decided that I wanted to kind of be like my mum and only get 1 second piercing. So that's what I did. We went, and I remember this girl that was doing the piercing, she had so many piercings on herself. She had like facial piercings, ear piercings. She even had like some on her arm. I'm just there, this young teenage Christian girl being like, I want 1 earring on this side, on my lobe. And this woman has like so many piercings. She had one, like a bar across her arm here. And she was like, oh yeah, I did this one myself. And I was like, great. Lovely. Yeah, I decided to get it on my left ear, I'm pretty sure, because I kind of wanted to complete my mum's ear look because she had it on her right. So it's like if you put us together, it would make complete firsts and seconds. I was so psyched to have it, not necessarily because I wanted it for a long time. Like I said before, I wasn't yearning to get it, but I just thought it was so cool and kind of like daredevil of me to get a second piercing. Also, for the school that I went to, you weren't allowed to have multiple piercings. You weren't allowed to have fancy earrings at all. If you had earrings, it would only be allowed for the females. You either wore plain studs or sleepers that were gold or silver. We would always try to hide them. That's my left second. The next piercings I got, I'm pretty sure I was 16 years old, and I remember being jealous of this girl for reasons that I won't necessarily disclose, but I was jealous of this girl, right? And she had one on the top here. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be like her because I'm jealous of her. It wasn't because she had the earring. And at the time, my best friend and I, for some reason, we were talking about it. And then we were just like, you know what? Let's go get it done together. And her parents don't like multiple piercings and stuff like that. They didn't necessarily allow it. And she lived in like Whoop Whoop. So we had to wait for a time that she was back in Sydney to do this. I don't think I told my mum about it because I kind of wanted to surprise her. And plus she told me to get the piercing last time. She didn't ask me if I wanted it. Like she said, let's go get it done. Yes, we were 16 and we found this place that was fairly cheap. And I actually decided that I wanted to get 2 piercings. So I wanted to get the helix done on my left ear and then on my right ear get the second lobe done. And we even told one of our other friends and she was like, oh my gosh, I really want to get one too. And she came to get it done as well. And she wasn't allowed to get it done either. So yeah, we had to sign consent forms and everything. And we didn't know that you had to be a certain age to get this done without a parent. Luckily, we were 16 and that was the age that you needed to be to do it without a parent. So that wasn't an issue. We signed the forms. Now that I think about this, it's really creepy, but there were 2 people in the shop. There was a woman and there was a man as well. He looked to be about maybe in his 30s, even like late 30s. He was kind of flirting with us and saying, oh, we're so beautiful. Because you girls are so beautiful, I'm gonna give you a discount, which, you know, we got a discount. I'm not complaining about that, but it's still creepy when you think about it. I remember that we got it done with the gun. Now, if you know anything about piercings, and we have developed so much as a society when it comes to piercings, you know, never, ever, ever to get a piercing done on your cartilage using the gun system. It's just an absolute no-go. We did not know that at the time. We just wanted piercings done. Didn't really affect my lobe at all because lobes, there's nothing. So after we got it done, we went to the food court and wanted to eat. We were talking to each other, being like, how are you feeling and everything. And I remember my ear was burning. It was red. It felt so hot, and all of us were experiencing the same thing. And because, again, I didn't know anything about piercings at the time, really, I went to touch it and it was so sore, it felt like a bruise. When I got home, I showed my mom and she was just like, oh my gosh. She wasn't mad, she wasn't excited, she was just like, whoa, okay. Going to sleep for the next however long, oh my gosh, it was excruciating pain. I mean, it did feel, again, like a bruise, but it was like intense. That piercing took the longest to heal, and I think it, I don't know, might have taken even 2 to 3 years to fully, completely heal. And I'm someone who likes to kind of mix up my jewelry a lot until I find what I'm looking for. So on top of it being done with a gun, it really screwed up the healing process, and I got to the point, I'm pretty sure this was like a year later, it got to the point where I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to keep this one stud in and not touch it. And that's what eventually got it to heal completely. It got infected a bunch of times and it was awful. So yeah, if you don't know why you shouldn't get a cartilage piercing done with a gun, it's because the way that the gun works is that it uses blunt force. And the thing that's piercing your skin is the earring, so it's the stud. And the stud is not meant to pierce the skin, it's just meant to sit in the skin. Whereas a needle, it's made to puncture the skin in a way that, you know, doesn't put too much trauma to the skin. So yeah, when you're using a gun like that, it actually shatters your cartilage, which is obviously not good. I remember the guy telling us, oh, it's gonna take, 6 to 8 weeks to heal. No, it took 3 years because that's not the system you're supposed to use. After that is when I truly started to get obsessed with piercings and curated looks and everything like that. And this was kind of where it did get much more popular as well. I'm pretty sure after that, I got my thirds done. So I was in year 11. It was the year, actually, I don't think it was the year later. I think it was the same year, but it was just later on in that year. I decided to get my thirds done. And I remember when I got it done, I was with my friend again because I told her, hey, I wanted to get it done. And being the absolute sweetheart that she is, she actually paid for it for me. And I still can't believe that because I really wanted it so bad, but the place that I wanted to go to was much pricier because they were more professional. And because I found out all these things about the healing process and that you actually shouldn't use a gun, I found a place that was gonna do it, and they did it with a needle, and I got the thirds on my lobes and they were a bit more sore. I remember the guy saying that they specifically using needles for this part of my ear because there is actually some cartilage there. It's not fully cartilage, or it's like close to the cartilage. So it won't hurt as much as like a helix piercing, but it still has the potential to get really sore and painful. If you use needles, it costs more. I remember he told me you don't actually need to buy the piercing sprays that they sell you at piercing places because most of them are made out of alcohol, and alcohol is just going to dry out the area. He gave me this little piece of paper, like they give it to everyone, and it just says these are the ratios that you use when you create your cleaning solution. You just need non-iodized salt and warm water, and that's it. That should help you keep the area clean. That actually was something else that helped with the healing process as well. I remember going to the birthday party that night and one of my friends was there and I was like, look what I got done, and I showed her and she was just like, what? You're crazy. How many piercings do you want? And now she wants piercings like me. I don't know if she even remembers saying that, but I remember her kind of being like, why would you do that? I actually think I've got these back to front. I think I got my second helix first before my thirds. Yeah. Anyway, so swap these stories around. I'm apparently not going in chronological order. I got my second helix done first. I'll You'll find out why it's a bit confusing, but I'm pretty sure this would have all been in the same year to get my second helix at the same place I got my first helix, but they didn't use the gun. This one got infected quite a bit. I remember it getting quite swollen and actually turning a bit purple, and someone from my church was just like, bro, that is infected. I was like, no, it's not. It was clearly infected. I mean, it wasn't like super purple, but it had like the purpley tinge, and I was still using the spray that I bought from that place, which was like an alcohol-based spray, and in my mind, I'm just like, alcohol kills germs, right? Yeah, it was my first needle piercing, which, yeah. And I got, the jewelry that I got was a flat back, and it was quite long to accommodate for any swelling or anything like that. But this piercing started growing a bit crooked for some reason. So it was kind of going like this on an angle, wasn't straight anymore. I fiddled with it a lot to kind of straighten it out after a while because it really got more angular. And on top of that, I started getting like a bump at the back of my ear. It was like one of those piercing bumps that people think are keloid scars, but they're not keloid scars. I remember being in drama class at school, and we were working on our group performance. We only had a class of like 5 or 6 people, and I remember we were doing this kind of stunt where I was standing on a table and I was going to fall backwards and they were meant to catch me. Well, they kind of did, but they didn't. Some people put their hands out, some people didn't, and I kind of fell backwards onto the floor, and this wasn't a regular table. This is a special table we had built, and it was quite tall. So I went to fall backwards doing what I was supposed to do, and because people just, and some kind of caught me, some didn't, my earring actually got caught on someone's clothes and it snagged. Luckily it didn't rip out of my ear, but it was so painful. Anyone can imagine how scary it is to get your jewelry snagged on a piece of clothing or your hair even, just anything. Yeah, my piercing snagged on someone's clothing as I was falling backwards onto the floor. So I thought the reason it started growing on an angle was because it snagged on someone's clothing. I tried blaming it on the piercer, saying that they pierced it on an angle, and I told that to my mom, and she's like, what? Why didn't you tell them? She forced me to go back and actually went with me and told them off, saying, you guys pierced it on an angle, but it had already been a certain amount of time where my claim wasn't valid anymore. Said that they could re-pierce it if I took it out and it healed completely, but it's gonna cost me again. I wanted it to heal and I was sick of it, and I didn't want a piercing that looked like funky on an angle. So I ended up taking it out, getting rid of it, and I didn't have a piercing there for a long time. So yeah, I got rid of that piercing, it healed, and it went away, but you could still see kind of like a small kind of scar. I don't necessarily know if the cartilage was thicker on this ear than it is on this ear, but the cartilage in that spot in particular did become thicker. And I think it was already thicker because of the previous piercing that I got done with the gun, so it affected the entire cartilage of that ear. So at this point, I had 3 piercings on my lobe and 1 helix, and that's it. And I thought that's all I was going to get done. After I got married, my friend that I mentioned before that was like, why did you get your thirds done? She told me, hey, I actually really want to get my seconds done, because she only had her firsts. She was obsessed with looking at piercings. She wanted a curated ear as well. She wanted to technically start her piercing journey, and she knew that I have a lot of piercings. So she was just like, hey, I really want to get it done. I was just like, oh my gosh, you know what? I've actually been thinking about getting another piercing. I really want to get my second helix redone, and I was interested in getting my conch done as well, because I was just like, I love the look of a conch piercing, and I told her this is my favorite place to get piercings at the moment. So we went there together and we got it done. She got her seconds done. I got my second helix redone as well as my conch. I went to Hair House Warehouse for this, and this is also where I got my thirds done. I asked him, I was like, can you redo it? If you can't, then whatever, that's fine. But he said, yeah, it can be redone. Do you want it in the same spot because I can see where the scar is and whatever. I was like, yeah, cool. They say that the conch is one of the most painful piercings, I think, but this was more painful, and I think it's because it had scar tissue and everything. It was like a really sharp pain, whereas this one was kind of just like, ooh, shock. These actually got infected as well. I don't know what happened. I think it's because they were getting really irritated from me sleeping on them. They got swollen, like it's so swollen to the point where it actually filled up all the extra space on the flat back earring. But I took Nurofen. They actually healed quite quickly. Later on, I was telling my friend, I don't know why, but I've been obsessed with this forward helix and I really want to get a forward helix piercing. Are you keen to get another piercing with me? And she was like, yeah, I'm keen. But her seconds weren't healing very well. I think her ears were more sensitive to the jewelry, but she was really keen for another piercing. And then she actually was just like, you know what? I'm not ready yet, just because these are still healing and I don't know, I'm not ready yet. So I was like, that's okay. And I ended up going by myself, getting it done. I got it done at a place called Skin Candy. It was by far the best piercing and the best experience I've ever had with getting a piercing. She checked out the area, she cleaned it, and she actually used a torch to look at my ear. I was just like, oh, what you doing? She was actually looking at where the veins were sitting in my ear to see where she could pierce it. I was super shocked about how professional they were. Yeah, she was just like, look, I know you really want to get it done, but let me just get my manager because I don't know, I'm pretty sure I can do it, but there's only one spot I can do it in. So you don't really have a choice on the positioning of the piercing because your veins in your ear are actually kind of split off like a fork. You can't pierce it too low because then it'll hit this vein. You can't pierce it too high because then it'll hit this vein. So I'm pretty sure there's only one spot to do it, which is right here. So she went and got her manager to have a look and she said the same thing. She was just like, yeah, there's only one spot you can do it. I was just like, no, it's fine. Do it in the safest place possible. I don't have a preference of how high or low it is. I kind of did, but if anything, I just wanted the piercing more than the position of it. I wasn't too terribly fussed about it. It was amazing. It healed the quickest, and they actually had a sea salt spray. They told me the ingredients that were in the spray, which was sea salt, water, and tea tree oil. And I was like, that's perfect because I don't have to make it myself, and it is like, there's no alcohol in it. So that piercing spray was amazing. It helped me so much with my healing process, and even just the way that they did it all, amazing. That's my piercing journey, and here we are now with 5 piercings on each ear. The jewelry that I wear now is from Lavisa, and I love Lavisa jewelry, but Lavisa has actually progressed so much, and they had a selection of body jewelry which is made out of surgical steel, and I was just like, yes. I hope you enjoyed this video and learning a bit more about my earrings and my piercings. If you do have any more questions about my earrings, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell icon so you know every time that I post. Thank you again so much for watching, and I hope you are having a wonderful day wherever you are. Bye!